Welcome anyone and all who may absorb this at any moment in the history or somehow past. I don't see how you'd be able to be listening in the immediate present real time, because this is a recording that has no live element. But welcome to the first conversational episode of this, the new dawn of the Nonsensus Podcast. Welcome, and hello. I'm here with Mark. Shall ye be named twice?
Sure. I could have two names.
All right. Mark Zimmerman is here with me.
It's me.
All right. And he's my buddy. We're buds, so I'm not going to do too much housekeeping. The Nonsensus the intention is you're being invited into a cozy conversation. And, sometimes that conversation might go to some topics that some might subjectively think aren't the coziest, but we're just talking. And as where other podcasts may aim to inform or amuse, entertain, to enlighten, and or all of the above, this one might do those things, but really we're just having a chat-ski. And today we're going to have a cozy little talk about, are we talking about evil or are we talking about contrast? And evil will probably come up at some point.
Contrast is a word that I've been exploring a lot lately. Just bringing it up in conversation, thinking about, the different ways that it applies to our lives and how it is actually, in my opinion, one of, if not the most important element in the enjoyment of life and or an event in life or a situation or what have you. The elements of life are increased or decreased in enjoyment by the level of contrast they have to the previous experience in life. And I think that is so important. And I can give a few examples here of on a very simple level, the temperature that you're currently experiencing. If you're living in an area like Phoenix, Arizona, or Guadalajara, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and it's typically 100 degrees out or more. And you come inside and that air conditioner is blasting and it's a cool, crisp 67 degrees Fahrenheit. That feels fucking great coming into that house at 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you are living in the tundra, the frozen wastes of the north, and you have a house, the air conditioner blasting, and you walk inside and it is, a balmy 50 degrees inside that house, and it's fucking cold outside too, that's not going to really feel that great. It's really just going to be more of the same that you've been experiencing. Similarly with, work and pleasure, if you are, working your ass off 60, 70 hours a week, putting in hours, stacking up that cash, and you're fucking exhausted. You've been doing this for a month and a half straight, and your friends invite you to a little party, a little get-together, and it might not even be that good of a party, just a couple friends hanging out and maybe playing some board games or drinking a few beers or whatever it is. You're going to have the best fucking time. It doesn't matter how, small or unpretentious that party is. You're going to, man, that was a great party. But if you've been, if you work in the festival scene or something like that, and your life is party and your day-to-day is party, it does not matter how grand, how expensive, how, filled to the brim with world-class entertainers that festival is. It's just going to be more of the same to you. And this is the magic of contrast, in that what you are experiencing, the magic and enjoyment and notability of that experience is going to be far more defined by what you've been experiencing than by the thing that you're experiencing itself. And another good example is children. Children have this beautiful naivete about the world, in that they haven't experienced very much of it. And so when you take them to a river for the first time, they pick up a rock and they're like, oh my fucking God, look at this rock. It's awesome. Check out this rock. Holy shit, this stick. Oh my God, I got a stick. Because they've never seen a fucking stick before.
There's this video of this little girl there's a lot of videos of children being super cute and special, but this one is like transcendent to me. She's just being, she's being carried through the woods, and she's looking back. Her head is like tilted back, and she's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She's looking up at the treetops, and that is a beautiful sight. I'm 36 years old. That's exactly how I want to exclaim as starry-eyed. But she's just so authentically, oh my gosh. Oh my god! Oh my gosh! And it's just so special because, like, what would get you to that place? You know what? And I think that's what we ought to seek. Yeah. And also, a lot can be said about stop seeking, and I'm also into that. However, without experiencing the contrast of what it is to not seek, hide and go that. What if we are so living such luxurious lives in terms of the circumstances of what is possible for us. What if I were to make a little pact with myself that not a week go by without actively seeking out, or sometimes often they just fall upon you, a moment where I am in essence embodying like that little girl's moment of, oh my gosh, like maybe it seems like she'd never seen that exact sight before.
Right. And this was an entirely new experience to her. Like so many others that are rote experiences to us are so novel and amazing to children.
It snowed. Saudi Arabia popped up in your examples, and I seen a picture of a snow-covered camel. That one was probably doctored, but it was saying that it snowed for the first time.
I'm pretty sure they have indoor ski resorts in Dubai.
When it snoweth upon the house of Saud, or how's this? Here's a good contrast. A music and arts and dancing in whatever garb one chooseth in Iran.
Oh,
in 2025.
Are you familiar with Irish folk dancing, where they do not have their arms? They don't use their arms in the dance. Their arms are stuck down by their side, and they're mostly just using their feet to do a little jig, and there's a lot of hopping. Are you familiar with the style of dancing?
I'm familiar with some Irish jigs.
Yeah. So you know why they dance like that? It's really fascinating.
Because it's so cold on the Titanic that you got...
They had to, keep the drumming going so that the tiny men rowing could keep rowing and not give up and sink the boat. No, in Ireland, in a time of the past, there was morality laws. There's morality laws everywhere. Every law is a moral law essentially, but there were morality laws run by the church that said that dancing was not allowed. Drinking was allowed, but dancing was not allowed. And so there would be these, bars and pubs and stuff where people would gather, and they wanted to dance. It's a very natural human expression of joy. And they would dance in such a way that when the morality police would walk around and peer in the windows of the bars, it did not appear as if they were dancing, but maybe just jumping a bit. Because their arms weren't moving. And so that style of dancing was a reaction to laws prohibiting dancing. It was them getting away with it. It was the fucking growing a pot plant in your closet to escape the prying eyes of the modern police state. It was,
I imagine that at places where it is forbidden to sing and a dance and a carry on in public, that when several, I imagine when people know that they're gathering in secret to turn on some music and dance about, that it's ecstatic, but also in the same, like cannabis, weed, marijuana. How long ago was that illegal?
I mean, it's still illegal federally.
Okay, but we live in Michigan, and it is so legal here
running
now.
Open joke.
Yeah. I think that's not long for this earth.
No, I don't think so. I mean, who fucking knows? We're in a time of great uncertainty, but it could be, Joseph Smith protege gets elected and the Mormon church becomes the dominant religion in the country and we can only drink Pepsi now and coffee is outlawed.
Yeah, I have no conjecture as to the future. However, we experienced weed, cannabis being
pretty much completely fucking legal.
But remember, do you remember when it was
Michigan.
when it was naughty?
Oh,
do you remember
yeah.
when it was naughty?
It was a decade ago. It was even a decade ago. Maybe a little more than that.
And do you remember how it felt smoking a joint
Oh
while
my God.
driving, or Thanksgiving or some family dinner? You know, you have to have code language.
It's almost I almost don't even care about smoking weed anymore. Like I'll still do it from time to time, but it used to be such an event.
Yeah.
To go, like you get your friends together, you got the bag, you got the pipe, oh you got papers, oh you got a lighter. Like, oh, do we find a spot? You know, we have to skulk around the back alleys of the town that we're spending time in to get away with smoking this joint. And oh my God, it's the cops! Fuck, put it away.
And it made it so that the feeling of being in the drug state, the altered state of cannabis, had this qualia to it of doing something special because of the naughtiness.
Right.
And I
You're
just
getting
imagine
away with something.
Yeah.
And then when you're high afterwards, you're like, fuck yeah. I got
And that's
away with
gone.
It is.
It's now 2024, and that is weed is so just how quickly it became something that is categorized emotionally in the same place as cigarettes or a beer. Actually, because cigarettes now, you're naughty.
Oh yeah,
You're a naughty.
Very
you're
much
naughty
so.
when you go out to smoke
Absolutely
one of those.
you
If
are.
it's a doobie, you're just an American.
right. And yeah, I still smoke cigarettes, and I had a woman come out of a bar the other day with a vape and be like, oh, I can't smoke cigarettes anymore. The social pressure is too much. She's like, I feel like a bad person when I'm smoking cigarettes now, even if I'm away from where the people are.
I will say that's it's not like a absolute deal breaker, but if I find a ladybird attractive and then I see her light up a tobacco,
Yeah.
that registers.
That doesn't make the bald eagle in your pants sore.
See, there's kind of a trade-off, there, because there's like, okay, I do like that it indicates the I like a
Casting
bit
off.
of, a bit of wantonness. I like a bit of sinfulness and a bit of other. You got other words for what I'm trying to go for, because it's not like I don't actually think of it as naughty, but I like the cavalier.
Yes.
But I don't actually care for too much cavalier about one's health. It is that you know what it is for me?
What's that?
Forrest Gump. There was a scene in Forrest Gump where there's the two ladies of the night.
Yeah.
Oh no, were they ladies of the night or were they?
It's been forever
I think
since
it was
I
just
watched that.
it was just Lieutenant Dan's friends.
Okay.
Or I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe they were ladies and it was nighttime. It was New Year's Eve.
Two scallywags of the
Anyways,
female persuasion.
One of them begins making out with Forrest as Lieutenant Dan, and the other are carrying on, and Forrest can't handle. He pushes her off at some point, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? You stupid or something?" She goes, and they leave, and Lieutenant Dan's like, "What? Yeah, what's wrong with you?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, she tastes like cigarettes." And
well, but he's the representation of everything pure and puritanical and good about America. And
I heard that Forrest Gump, the book, that there is a thesis in it that didn't come out through the movie. Now, I've never read the books of this, but either way, I'm glad that this is in my head. I rewatched the movie and was like, yeah, that makes it more special to that.
What's the conclusion?
That this added thesis is that he's not actually mentally, cognitively impinged in any way.
Oh.
He's perfectly intelligent. He's what we would now call neurodivergent.
I see.
Like he's different. He's hardwired different. But the way in which I remember being told by somebody who read the book that it's like that the thesis is as we're in the movie, it's like he is a special person.
Yeah.
In the book, it's the thing that's special about him is that he's pure. His purity is
I think that's pretty apparent in the movie.
Yeah, but that his purity is being perceived by other people as him being stupid.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that the whole time there was never anything at the neurological level a different, or any lesser than it. He's like,
Sure.
because he's demonstrating how capable he is throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's different
because
because it's a movie, though. As where in a book you could really there's just more narrative. I want to rewatch the movie again.
Yeah. No, it is one of the noteworthy things I've noticed as I've gotten older is the change in perception of characters in movies and who they are relative to you, relative to other people in the movie. As I've gotten older, and I think some of it is maturity and just having more experiences and seeing what's actually fruitful in life and what's a kind of boyish fantasy of what you think would be fruitful in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing the nature of characters change as you get older is a really fascinating experience. I think the dynamic of movies and stories and things changing.
Yeah. We are currently right now sitting in a house that it would be true to say I grew up here. There was another house that I grew up in, but this one is significant from 10 years old to like 20 something. I was here. And so there's just a lot of visual memory stuff.
This is it's really similar to the layout in the house for the family in Waco.
There are, and
I feel like a very well-meaning, genial, half-balding man is going to try and convince me to give my life to Jesus Christ in this house.
This neighborhood has those vibes. But I was driving and I had this moment of a felt gratitude of like, wow, I was driving down this road to go to when I was hosting stand-up comedy in Chesterfield at this bowling alley. And I am such a different person now. And dare I say better, wiser, just more, there's more of a genuine kindness as opposed to an aiming for that. But that's another weird one too. Now we get into as far as contrast goes, the goodness or not so goodness of a person. It's like, man, I got to go free will determinism right away. Cause the life just gives so many examples of, so like sincerity is the thing that I want in the people that are around me. And I notice sometimes when I'm in the presence of somebody or like when I am put in a situation like coworker or something where you kind of have to be around somebody who you find insufferably insincere. And I'll be like, well, what's going on there? It's like, I bet it was because nobody was being sincere with them.
Yeah. Or they've taken on the belief that, sincerity is cringe or somehow undesirable.
Vulnerable it's not good for the game.
Right.
It doesn't help you get ahead.
No. Right. I've learned that one of the ways that people will describe me is earnest. And I think it's, I don't know how else to be. Like I could turn it on sometimes and, have a bit of fuckery to what I'm saying, but it's sincere fuckery. It's earnest fuckery. It is fuckery in the name of having fun, not in the name of deceiving.
Yeah, earnest wanting to play reindeer games is something that is a big part. We went to the Lions game at a bar last night.
Yeah, that was fun.
Gathered with my mom and a few other
years ago. I would have been roasting motherfuckers. Even going and enjoying it myself, it would have been roasting myself, would have been making fun of myself for enjoying it, would have been making fun of everyone else there.
And that I love. I love that about the development of one's own character arc.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that the very things I used to judge, I have sincerely become and derived true joy from them. Mm-hmm. I used to think that fascist was so just the goose step, and it's just so. I'm kidding with that one, but I have no predictions as to how my life. Yeah. I could at age 48, I could be a conservative leaning, literal rancher dude guy, cowboy, conservative, gay, tall, long haired, blonde boy.
Yeah,
maybe.
We have the technology. You could,
and we certainly will, if not. Yeah,
right.
But
you just have to be in the right social circle and drink the right vial of baby blood and whatever.
And that's with this authenticity is something, and this on contrast, because what is it to be inauthentic?
Yeah.
I used to think that chameleons, I would call people chameleons, or there was the pejorative poser. Do you remember when people were called posers?
Yeah. We've totally banished that from the lexicon, haven't we?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say that what I've been doing lately is posing, but I bounce around like a pinball to different social circumstances, and I don't try to like inauthentically fit in, but I do want to feel the warmth of the village in some social settings. But a lot of time, I'm just curious now.
You want to be invited to each of the respective social circles' masked midnight blood orgy. You want them to feel comfortable with you so that you can walk around in dark robes with your dick out and be accepted into the fold that you are, they'll share their secrets with you.
There's very little that's in the no-go zone now. And,
Right.
and we joke around on this podcast, but if I was to try to list them sincerely now, it's like, okay, we're not going to be fucking not just children, but there will be no.
We're not going to attempt anything mutual without mutual enthusiasm.
Yes, there will be no coercive acts of anything. There will be no coercing anyone.
Enthusiasm being the key word there.
Yes, no coerce. I don't even like to be involved in pressury.
No.
Situations, and I'm not talking just about this, extremity things of like sex.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to feel pressured to not just hug someone, continue to have to hear someone.
Right.
Like,
because Lord knows, I've been in enough situations where I don't want to hear someone fucking keep talking. Like they're running nails across the chalkboard of my eardrums.
Insufferable. And they take up every note of space with their loathsome face. And yeah, I feel feelings of, I don't even go to hatred, just like, because it begins with annoyance,
Have you ever just turned around and walked away from someone mid-sentence?
Yes.
Isn't it so freeing?
And in
just
social,
casting off the shackles of their attention span. Oh, God.
These things happen in festivals in big cities, but big cities, I fear being in them too long. It's kind of like having the one ring. But a different way. Instead of the one ring of power, it's like
found the secret to your success.
If I lived in Chicago,
you gotta pierce that veil, buddy.
For what's that song? He said it's the graduation speech. Everybody wears sunscreen. He says, live on the East Coast for a while, but not so long that it makes you hard. And then live on the West Coast for a while, but not so long that it makes you soft. I find that regardless of coast, I mean, the climate has something to do with it, and there's different cultural, there's vibes. But San Francisco and or New York and Chicago, densely populated, and just it has an effect on me when I see so much passing desperation that there's nothing that I can or should even consider. When I wouldn't say that I shouldn't. It's not like a thought crime, but it's like you can't be walking around
earnest with each person that approaches you, because otherwise your pocketbook would be quickly drained.
You can't
and
engage.
Your time would be quickly monopolized by people who have no actual interest in you but are simply trying to meet their needs.
Yeah. And
it's unfortunate.
Particularly when I was living on Haight Street, which is, for those who don't know, it's a famous street in San Francisco.
Where the Nazis all moved to?
Precisely. Okay, so there was the one guy with the swastika tattoo who went on to.
Do you think there's only one guy with a swastika tattoo there?
Well, the forehead one, the guy with the beard, Manson, Charles Manson was.
He was on Haight Street.
He hung out. I thought he hung out.
Yeah, was he like John Lennon's like?
Anyway, it's known for being the hippie place. Lover. It's been for the hippie place, summer love, and like hippie. And now it's this parody of itself. But there's a lot of I would look down from. I was so lucky as to stay for a while in this apartment.
I loved how often I was offered psychedelics on Haight Street. My God. Like if there was a day that went by that I was walking down Haight Street that someone did not offer me a bag of mushrooms or a strip of LSD, I was disappointed.
Every time, yeah. But I would see a particular sort of desperation where I just don't like to have these thoughts too often. Okay, so if you see somebody who is just, they're clearly not having the best moment of their life, sometimes there are indicators that this has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are things that you can observe that with some of the street kids on Haight Street, there would be where it's like, I don't know if this person, this usually around like adolescent age, didn't like come from total Silver Spoon Town.
Well, and some of them are there doing a bit. They're having an experience.
Yeah.
They read On the Road, they read Kerouac, they read the Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. They may have had some hippie friends that, existed on the fringes of society that were, poets or otherwise neurodivergent, and, were on the street busking and fucking around and like living a life and like, kind of like they're not kind of by choice, not by the choice of wanting to live an alternative lifestyle. And, you know, there's the spectrum between that and, you know, truly destitute, nowhere to go, strung out for years. Like that is, you know, you're on this, it's the same spectrum. It's just one end and another end. So, you know, some of them are there and they're, you know, they're having a fucking time with it. I ran away when I was 16. I traveled for a month and a half, no money in my pocket. I lost 40 pounds and did drugs the whole time. And, you know, that was a choice I made. But I was lucky enough that I had parents that would re-accept me into their fold when I was done having my, you know, silly adolescent adventures. And, but it was a choice. It was a choice that I made. And we managed to eat through the kindness of others. And, had a great time, but you know, it's exhausting. Like, you can't do that forever. And I think that path is actually, you know, the spectrum. You start at one end of the spectrum, and if you do not divert your path, you end up at the other end of the spectrum.
Have you seen SLC Punk, Salt Lake City?
Oh yeah,
Punk?
of course.
And
love that movie.
It's so important. It's so important with the contrast and the poser gets said in that a lot, right? Poser, fucking poser. So SLC Punk is this movie that, spoiler alert, earmuffs if you don't want to hear, super punk rock kids, you know, doing a bunch of punk rock stuff, really like exploring the edges of counterculture and pushing the envelope until it ends with he becomes a lawyer.
He starts going to law school. Yeah. And, you know, his dad the whole time is like kind of rolling his eyes at him, like running the streets and, you know, being a punk and not conforming, and then, you know, eventually, you know, through a series of mishaps and misadventures, he's like, all right, fine, you old fucker, I'll go to law school.
And doesn't he say something in like the ending monologue about how this now is what feels edgy,
right?
Like, what could be more punk rock than me, the most punk rock of all,
going
in a suit?
School. Yeah.
And I think right. that's how it goes around here. And I remember when I saw that movie for the first time, or like for a long time, my perception of it was like, isn't that sad, that
right.
arc?
Right.
And now I love that very thing.
Absolutely.
I am so like, but I don't, and there's still things that I think of. Now we can get into evil if you'd like. I did want to.
There was one other subject in this vein, like the, you know, we're seeing that same shift in our culture right now, in what it is to be a rebel, what it is to rebel against the social order, to rebel against the mainstream, and that there is this shift towards the more conservative in the rebellosphere.
Totally.
And it's made things mega confusing. You've got people like, you know, Alex Jones, who was really against the Iraq war, and who many liberals and people who today would consider themselves very woke agreed with and rallied behind, because he was against the Iraq war, which was, you know, obviously a massive waste of money, human lives, and boondoggle. But it was the conservatives that were doing that. And so he was on the side of the liberals, and most folks today that would consider themselves woke would align with him and what he was saying. Whereas now, the power structure has shifted in that it's more the Democrats and the liberals in power who have taken the reins that the neocons used to wield and are the ones beating the war drum. And now it's fascinating to see the folks on the conservative side be the more anti-war ones, and be against that military industrial complex, and the folks on the other side kind of quiet down a bit. But it all gets so incredibly complicated as we face the biggest propaganda campaign in human history in the last couple of years. I'm not speaking on any specific subject, just the massive information and misinformation that has assaulted us and our sensibility. And I mean, do you know what's going on anymore? I certainly fucking don't.
Absolutely not. But when people say that we're like in the post-truth era, it's like people been fibbing for a while.
Oh yeah, that's par for the course.
There might actually be more available truth, more widely available than ever.
Well, if you go
looking.
Well, and that's the strategy that's been employed, is to just drown out the truth with noise, that it's so hard to determine what now is truth and what is the big picture, I should say, because there's very little information that we're getting that is outright lie. What's happening more is that we're getting this just cavalcade of facts that shapes a narrative. And depending on which information silo you subscribe to, the series of facts that you receive to the narrative which is being shaped for you will determine the conclusions that you come to about the leaders and people in power and yourself and countries and nation states and who is right and who is wrong. And you're not necessarily being lied to. You're just being sliced. Your version of reality is being sliced in one direction with the select facts that are being presented to you. So much so that when you're offered a series of contrasting facts that are also facts but they shape a different narrative, you almost reject them or dismiss them because they don't fit the information silo with which you've been subscribed to. I think I've gotten that one. I got that down pretty well.
I'd like to viscerally exemplify contrast of a conversation by saying, doesn't it feel cozy in this room right now?
It does.
Because it's cold, and it's cold outside. I see the wind blowing through the trees, and I know that it's brisk out there. And it feels so cozy to be here. Mark's on a couch. I'm in a rocking chair.
This is a delightful couch, by the way.
Cozy requires contrast.
It does.
Cozy is a word that without uncomfortable and when we use it as an adjective to describe a cozy conversation, it's like, notice the difference in the vibes from Mark's tangent. Lovely, no, you didn't say anything that I vividly disagreed with, but notice how much cozier it feels now that I'm not talking about fucking politics and stuff.
I sets him up, you knocks him down.
I've become so difficult to talk to about things like that because people find me convoluting in that I want to be dialectical, and also, like, you said the woke word, and I feel like every single person I need to know how we need to define terms at the beginning. God, what an amorphous word. Yeah. Because I remember when that just used to mean you were you
aware
thought
of reality.
Well, it was not pejorative at all at first. It was something that one would say about themselves. Positively, to say, like, well, I'm woke to that shit, or like you would say, like, this artist is woke, they know.
I used it as a word specifically because it's a chameleon word.
It's become super.
It depending on who you are and where you're coming from, it means different things to you. And I said that very intentionally because I wanted each person listening to put on the cloak of woke or reject the cloak, whichever one you do. It was to draw to mind how free flowing and difficult to define that word is.
It's used to contemporarily. I hear it used to describe a set of beliefs or a person who is possessed by the mind virus. By others talking about them, I don't hear people refer to themselves as woke. I will say them sometimes.
Oh, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I noticed it the other day on an Instagram post. There was someone that was describing themselves as woke, which I thought was fascinating.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong about a lot. I'm wrong about a whole lot. I don't hear the people of Wokistan saying that we are the Wokistani people.
Yeah. I mean, it's because they're being chased to the wilds of the world.
I was worried that Wicked would be super, like, patting a cock of ideology upon my face woke, and it wasn't. It wasn't in my experience. You
prefer the cocks patted on your face not be ideological ones?
Yeah, I just a regular old, like, and like half erect, like, just to the point where there's like that comical flap. You could use the word flap because a fully hard dick, that's bopping you on the face, right? It becomes a different.
There's not as satisfying of a mildly deflating sack of blood.
Yeah. I loved it. Wicked. I loved it. And because there's deep shit getting across there, and so I would like to bring this to evil now, because I get excited when there's something that is super widely appreciated, that is it's in the mainstream, as you were. Yeah. It excited me so much when I saw the Lego movie, it was like,
everything is awesome.
Oh my God, they know, because I found the thesis, the morals, the spiritual the
fucking comedy and the animation in there.
Well, no, but what it was saying to me, I know, like I'm a bit obsessed about what something is saying and the deeper meanings and stuff.
Sure.
And the Lego Movie to me, I'm going to switch back to Wicked because I'll just rant and rave about how much and the Lego Movie too was a necessary sequel and really didn't just expound upon it. It said something else that was also deep. But Wicked the musical and the book is expressing a deep thing. It's not just simply look closer at those who you are either made to believe are villainous or you arrived at that. Just examine how you arrived upon that. Was it propaganda? Upon looking closer at this person, would you find them not only relatable, would you humanize them? Would you be able to see yourself unfolding in the same way if you had the tragic circumstances, tragic or just are they you born under different circumstances, sort of stuff. And it's very, and I think it articulates that in a really special way. And I was worried that it was that the film adaptation, I was particularly worried when I heard it was going to have a like mega pop star being one of the lead roles. I was like, is it going to make it so contemporary? Is it going to do the thing that I love art where it's like you can apply that to any historical situation. You could apply it to things that are going to happen in the future. And it doesn't have to bring us, because it's not just about the escapism element of art. It's like, how special is it and how unifying and how powerful can it be that, you can sit down in that theater and you can be like, okay, this is about this moment now and the things that are like society's dealing with it all, because it'll be about like, oh my God, that was the experience of me at high school or college, or this is, oh my God, these are allegories that really like resonate with me in my personal experiences, or in 10 years that they'll still, there's a way to be timeless and there's a way to be too specific. And I think I loved it. I left with a, did I love that? Like, cause, I don't do that. I try to not have that judgmentalness. Here's another contrast example, though, judgmentalness and non-judgmentalness. How do we experience that starry-eyed child appreciation of present moments and, beautiful nature?
Usually with violence. You've ever been annoyed by a child before?
It's been a bit. I've been hanging out with really cool ones.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
It's been a bit. Yeah. Well, no. There's one. There's yeah.
See.
But the when a child is being annoying, this is the adult thing. I know it's a child.
Yeah. Well, and also, if you ever experience this with, parents that have been in the thick of raising their children for, however long, and you're around them and their children and you're just like enamored with their kids. Oh my God, they're being so cute, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're being kind of annoying. And the parents are like, oh my fucking God, I can't stand this kid right now. Yeah. And you're like, but he's so cute.
This is a sharp left turn kind of, but I think that something, it takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes a village to raise a child. I keep seeing these situations where, okay, so there's a lot of our generation and the next that are having less kids.
Yeah.
That are choosing not to have a single child. That are choosing not to, pair bond in the usual ways.
Right.
And that used to not be a whether or not. Everybody did that. And now a lot of us aren't.
You think it's a lot of sex education in that? I think that people were they didn't know how to not have kids.
Yeah, well, it was expected of you. Well, and then why is it that in very, 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 very poor countries there's just they're just spewing them out, and
we're distributing condoms in sub-Saharan Africa like fucking confetti cannons.
Well, and there's also the element of like having children to be able to like work the farm and stuff.
Right.
That's a big one. But anyway, okay, I want to get out of the why it's happening. There's people who are having kids.
Yes.
And so much thought is going into this.
Right.
And that, in contrast to the past, you just did it.
Right.
So now we have someone who, if they do go on to have a child, is doing so very, very consciously and very aware of what this choice is for their own experience, what all of the potentials are for creating a new consciousness. Yep. And that and I think this is one of the things that is leading to, I see some examples of just great parents and people who are, that there is a massive leap from how they were raised to how they are raising their children. It's very informed.
There's the helicopter parent phenomenon that's happening too, though.
Oh, of course, always.
No, in increasing fashion, in significantly increasing fashion.
Wait, what is that helicopter?
Like you must, like, you have a child and they can go outside and they can play in your 1/4 acre square front yard. But if they step one goddamn foot into that street, or God forbid the park half a block away, all hell will break loose.
You're talking about hovering.
Yeah, hovering. The helicopter hovers.
Micromanaging. And
yeah. Even though, the incidents of violence against children are significantly down, there's parents that believe the opposite is true, and they must be entirely present until that child is 18 to 23 years of age.
It would be,
or they will die.
To always have to give both extremities of every example of everything. Let us not get lost in the. Yes, there are people. There are people having children as ammunition in a water balloon fight. There's all sorts of examples, bro. I know. And then there's people who are raising Christs and sweeties that I enjoy making puzzles with. Okay. So anyway,
just giving you some contrast.
So, but those who I have friends who we talk about how, man, I'm like really enjoying being around my niece and nephew.
Yeah.
Like really enjoy it. And you know what else I love? When it's time for them to leave. And I lovingly say goodbye, and I'm going to miss them right away.
Yeah.
But I look to my, I don't have a niece or nephew. I have one sister. She has not yet given our dynasty an heir, and neither of us may. Anyway, somebody will say like, and then I look over to my brother who had the kids, and he just rolls his eyes and is like, yeah, see ya next holiday. And it's like, you went and did that, and what I'm getting to with It Takes a Village is like, what if we really leaned into that? That there's a bunch of us who are feeling the call to be parently, or to it's because a child needs to it helps their development to have a lot of different experiences with different people, and but positive ones, and especially there at the beginning.
No, I mean all of them
super loving. It's like wrestling analogy, tag team match. One of the wrestlers starts getting tired, and it's time for him to go tag the other, and he would tag the other one, and the other one comes in fresh and starts laying the smack down. In the same way with love, not beating a child,
absolutely,
and with love. When I think about the prospect of my being a parent one day, or being just largely brought into the enterprise of what it is to be co-raising, so to be highly helpful in the let's have as much opposite. Isn't it odd that we don't have a word for the opposite of trauma, for being bent in a good way?
No, we do. What is the fucking word?
Is it just like growth, expansion?
No, it's a word. It's fuck. What's the word in polyamory when you appreciate compersion? That's the one. It's like that, but I can't think of it.
I get what you mean. So and I think if there is not a word, we need invent one now, because if I could finish my sentence before, was that I would be thinking a lot. I would be strategizing on, all right, this is a child. It's playtime a lot of the time in childhood time, but man, as I don't know about as early as we can, but just as consciously as we can, you gotta become okay that sometimes you're bored and sometimes you're sitting there quietly. But maybe that's that your inner world is so amusing or perhaps meditative. That's where I'm at now. I'm 36, and I have found ways that I won't even really try to describe right now, where I can sit and stare at a wall and be like good. And I wouldn't call it that I'm okay with boredom. There's something
very magical about being bored now. In fact, as if you're any sort of artistically bent in your life, that is the crucible of creation, is the times of boredom. That is when the magic comes to life. The
canvas on which beauty happens is mundanity and nothingness.
And then, one of the things that the kind of perpetual phone screen culture is robbing us of is those moments of boredom.
Yeah.
Not that it's not a valuable tool, but...
So back to opposite of trauma. So I'll just lay on the ship about, because I'm feeling fucking bored talking about parenting right now. I didn't choose to do that. This is not a podcast about.
I grabbed your scruff of your neck and dragged you down this rabbit hole. I recognize this.
Okay, so just to put a little bow on parenting stuff, that I would be trying to strategize for as much of whatever word it is for opposite of bent in a bad way, just to bend you in a way of optimism, of resilience, as opposed to I break down and give up or avoid.
Totally.
And just that we're trying to bend you in all the ways. Might be able to find a better word than bend, because it's kind of the same as manipulate. But like, how do we help this consciousness sponge up so many true experiences of you are loved, you are not always the star of the moment, you are not always to be in the spotlight. There is time, it's at other people's turn. All of those things, obviously, all of the balances. But how do we bend each other? And I want to do this with everybody that I love. If I'm going to be around somebody, why would you want anyone that you interact with often to feel bad, unless it's about some infraction? Right. But I don't think making somebody feel bad is a good deterrence punishment thing. I don't see that helping.
I hate the word attitude. I hate the way that especially authority figures use it towards children, like, improve your fucking attitude, you little shit. I think there's another word, there's other words that can be used in place of that. Temperament, perception,
affect.
When I was growing up in grade school, there was, when we get in trouble in grade school, we'd have to write sentences, 10 sentences, 30 sentences, and it was the same sentence over and over again, usually.
Because it's punishment via boredom.
Yeah. So in sixth grade, oh no, I'm being forced to get into the creative crucible. Oh, woe is me. When I was in sixth grade, we had to write paragraphs. The paragraph that I had to write over and over again, I did not realize the impact that it had on my life until much later. And if I may read it, I would like to, and it is about attitude. I'm going to skip a few little parts of it.
You may.
Okay, good. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude, to me, is more important than facts, more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think, say, or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. My God, I fucking hated writing that thing over and over again in sixth grade when I got in the most trouble in school. But I find it to be entirely true.
I find the word attitude to have utility when the attitude you bring to a specific thing.
Yeah.
I have, and this. If I'm able to articulate this in a way where I feel spoken and understood,
please,
that would be very helpful for me right now, because I've been having an internal experience arc with my interpersonal relations of. That why was it ever that someone who was not returning, reflecting, or just being, not necessarily ideally, but like there was an adequate amount of love was not. I was not experiencing an adequate amount of love for the standard that I don't just intellectualize, but I've now actually clicked over into that I need that, or someone's not even attractive. And I've had experiences of being attracted to somebody who was not like it wouldn't make that being treated that way wouldn't make the cut now. And I was like, why is it that? And I think that's you change something changes within you. It might. And you can have the words in your head, don't disrespect yourself. If this, why it's bad to, why it's would be better to cut quote unquote toxic people out or whatever. And you can know that and be saying that and reading all the book, but until it like actually changes in you, then there's this aha moment of everything you've ever experienced. And I like the theory that a barometer to know if you've, as they say, healed or, grown, expanded, gotten better is that you'll look back at these, really not ideal adverse experiences that you had before, and it'll be like funny.
I think I'm pretty much only attracted to people that are impossible to please.
That's you feel that you think that now?
Yeah, that's what my experience has been.
Well, you are sitting on a couch, Mark, but I don't know if we're going to examine this right now.
I'm uninterested in examining it further.
Because we are nearing the end of an hour. But how this relates to contrast is I do a lot of tinkering around with what I think reality is, what's going on, what consciousness is, what we are, and to me, it is direly important that I have some theory as to what it is.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a self-proclaimed nonsense man, I'm big into the church of I don't know. However, one thing that is helpful for me to see so clearly now, is why it may have been, or I could construe it as perfect, that I had these experiences before that were so not ideal, and I can really see why they were so not ideal now, because only now is contrast of a more ideal, say, like romantic relationship. It is only possible, it seems, to experience that now, or to experience it in the same way coming in from the cold and by a warm fire would be cozy. You know what I mean? Like you had to, but then again, also, this is the part that I don't know, because I see people who seem to have more hours of most days where they are at a base state, content and happier than I, tend to be. But I experience an ecstatic joy enough. And I notice some people who, and sometimes I know about their story, and I know that there wasn't, maybe as much in different categories of life. Let's just go with love, romance stuff. You ever meet somebody who seems like their life has just been unfolding of pleasant experiences in that realm, and that's going well. But also, how often do you see them like, as you might, a friend who is used to things being not great, and now something is I finally met someone and it's wonderful, and they're like, really, and then this thing with contrast that is it is stability at a pretty good place. Is that the best lived life? That's very subjective.
Yeah. Well, I think that contrast, when you bring it into focus, when you adjust the contrast in your life consciously, it can lead to, more fulfilling experiences, more depth to the field of vision that you have going on. When you that it's much more desirable to spend a little bit of time bored when you have been so not bored for so long, than when it's a continuation of the norm for you. And like when you're a teenager and you're fucking bored all the time, like, yeah, you do more, you create more things, but like, God, it's boring. Fuck. Just have something to do. I'm gonna go smack a tree with a stick for a little while, be entertained.
Did you ever have a big time, like, there's another question coming out after this, but did you ever have a like decisively anti-capitalist era?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, I'm not thinking that way these days.
Yeah.
But I have these moments where I think about taking off the tight shoe of any societal economic pressure or even incentive to make value out of what we do, and how beautiful the first few weeks of that would feel.
Until you have to make duct tape shoes and live in a ramshackle tent.
Oh no, I'm saying something like AGI creating infinite abundance, and just something. Just imagine the announcement that not only like you don't need to toil anymore. There's no reason to do it. It's just whatever you. I mean, I can flesh out the circumstances, but just something where it's like no more of the thing of like that. There is a need for you to figure out how to make it so that people consent to pay for your goods or services. There's still reason to do stuff, which is keeping ourselves entertained, and just we've got a world and let's do stuff in it. But just like imagine taking off that tight shoe. That's what some people said that they experienced with the checks from the pandemic. If you lived in the U.S.
during
the pandemic and you got a check, it was this, hey, just exist for a little bit. Have a nice, few month Shabbat. Sure. Just feel what it's like to just exist, get groceries, eat food, sit around, read a book, whatever. And just some reacted like, what do I do? And I do think that there would be a big, what do we do? There would be a significant mass mental health crisis that would probably come from this, whatever. Let's say aliens. Hey, humans.
Here's cold fusion.
Yeah, material abundance. You don't got, because I do think that there are I think there are a lot of our friends, and I don't know where I'm at, because there is this thing in me that do I have to use the word still? There's this thing in me that wants to have an impact. No, that's not how I would. I want to experience myself. I want to be part of this world. But then it's like, I'm okay. Back to the thing of like, use a different word than trauma, but just like, I'm bent in a way where I'm so used to the world having problems to fix and horrors to, I don't know how to help with at all. And I had like so many adolescent,
horrors.
The messianic phase of I'm the one who's supposed to fix to save the world. I no longer have that.
Okay, but you had a time where did you think you were the second coming of Jesus Christ?
At the time, I was probably also in my like militant atheist sort of phase. I had eras, man.
Okay.
And now they all are so funny, like but like the Lego Movie for me was like that is the thing that the Lego Movie expresses to me that is so special is it's not about you are the one special who is here to save us all. It's that we each have a piece and we each have a special skill. And how amazing would it be if the guy who's so excited, I want to build a spaceship, there's a spaceship. Where it's like, hey, guess what, buddy? Guess what we need right now? Spaceship! And by the way, anybody who, when I said I'm not super anti-capitalist right now, I'm just saying like, that's not like my, like, it's not, I
see the ship you're sailing.
I see the problems. Right? I very much see the problems. The produce for the sake of produce, growth for the sake of growth. That's what cancer does. I get it. I get all of that. And sans something with infinite abundance. I know what people who think that way would be saying is like, no, we just sharing. And I would, part of me would agree. The thing is happening to me where I'm like, okay, how much is the world gonna feasibly wiggle while I'm here? And I would just like to be helpful to in some way. I don't think I'm about to change the entire world myself, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the changes. Maybe I'm boring. Have I become boring? I don't feel bored. Because I feel fascinated with stuff, and I used to be so preoccupied with enemies.
Do you feel like you have enemies?
There are evil acts. We didn't really get into evil with this one.
Yeah. Well,
Next episode of the Nonsensus will be about evil. Does it exist? Are there evil people?
It's an extent. Evil and morality are two words in the same universe that are fucking subjective, depending on the genetic lottery and geopolitical position of the dominant party in the region that you're from.
But you got to have navigational input, Like, I know there's some things that I could forgive myself for if the circumstances of desperation called for me to do them. Like defending myself by killing someone. Defending.
Sure. I don't think that's necessarily evil.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I prefer not to have that experience, though. I prefer not to have that experience.
Absolutely.
And on the other side of looking at my hands and being like, these hands killed a man. He was coming at you, though, man. He was coming at you. But I'd rather not look at my hands and be like, these hands killed hands. And I know that I would. But there
would run an animal over on the road.
I've mercy killed animals.
Yeah,
for sure. Just last night with the yellow jacket hornet that I was trying to.
That's not a real animal.
And I didn't mercy kill it. I tried to give it banana.
I tried to mercy kill it.
Yeah,
mostly because I'm afraid of bees.
I've mercy killed.
Yeah,
And I'm always sure when I do it, this is the most kind thing you can
100%.
do. Because I bring that golden rule I just bring to everything. I was taught that at a very young age. It's like, you do unto others. And
yeah.
So I just
would
think,
want to be mercy killed if you were in a position where like your fucking arm was hanging off and your neck was bleeding out and you're in indescribable pain. Please, if you don't have a shot full of morphine to make me not feel this anymore, just end me.
Yeah. Here's a way to end the podcast.
Please.
Contrast.
Yeah.
Don't you appreciate it so much that the circumstances of your current moment aren't fleeing for your life?
Fuck yeah.
Feeling an absolutely like unignorable hatred for those who have destroyed your family. God, I'm so glad I'm not racked with reasonable rage. Gosh.
It's fun to have a bit of rage though.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
I think sometimes I think it's one of the big thing that's missing from my life. I don't experience enough anger.
We could start a fight club.
We could just go to the grocery store and start a fight.
Oh yeah.
And then we'd go to jail, and then feeling the contrast of being released from jail would
God
be
damn. Be like coming for the first time.
woo.
It's like woo.
Yep. And when Ric Flair removes the tight shoe of his mortality, that's going to be one lit funeral. And not just like the actual place where they have the wake, but like the whole world is going to go, woo! Or would it be like a woo, 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 woo. Love Ric Flair. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, contrast is the thing.
Sure is.
We were podcasting and now we're not. Happy reality.